Good evening, folks, and welcome again to thechefandthegrape.com. I am your host, Chef Christoph, and tonight we're talking about the wines of BC. Now, those of you who are not from BC and have never tasted BC wines and know nothing about BC wines, you are, of course, to be forgiven and understood, because BC is one of the smallest wine-growing regions in the world. Algeria produces more wine than BC does. However, for its small size, BC has a prodigious level of quality. In fact, some of the best winemakers in the world are in BC. And I know that sounds like a boastful statement, especially as I currently reside in BC. So it might be understood that well, perhaps I'm not completely unbiased. However, the facts speak for themselves. BC winemakers have won awards around the world. Tonight, a new winery, and it's, well, it's got a bit of a history, but now it has new ownership. The winery is called, actually, Blue Grouse, and Blue Grouse is in the Cowichan Valley, which is on Vancouver Island. Vancouver Island, very small and global scale, but has an amazing little microclimate, very different from the rest of the province. Much more temperate, the winters are much softer. The summers never get as blazingly hot, and all sorts of agriculture just thrives there. It's fantastic. So, Blue Grouse Winery, under new ownership, and I was really struck, perhaps I'll get into this a bit more, but I was really struck by the words of the new owner, Paul Bruner, because he was asked to speak to what really his wine stood for, what the philosophy was. And he said, I really hope that in 50 years, whether it's my family that's here or another family that's here, I hope that they're striving for the same thing, which is really to try to convey the experience to the guest. And he spoke about the experience. He was talking about the hillside and the river and the trees and the sunshine. And I thought, this guy's French. I mean, he doesn't know it, but he's French. And he's talking about that great Burgundian word that has, well, French word that has absolutely no translation into English, which is terroir. Paul wants everyone to understand his place. That place, not his place, that place, and why that place is special. So let's taste through the wines and let's find out, really, what makes them special. First up on the block is the, further back, the Quill White Blend. So, beautiful little label, very modest, very tasteful. Doesn't necessarily pop out on a shelf, but very tastefully done. I have no idea what the varietals are in this. It just says white blend. That's all I know. Oh, beautiful lifted summer floral tones, grapefruit zest, very striking sea salty, briny minerality, very reminiscent of Carneros. Yeah, really, that's what comes through the most. On the palate, ooh, she's tight, she's lean. That's a racy one. Woo. Well, if you love rich seafood dishes, you are in for a treat, because this is the wine that's going to bring brilliant balance to those. Oysters Rockefeller, absolutely 100%. a filet of sole with some hollandaise, or perhaps sauce béarnaise. Perfect. On the palate, full acid, very lemon and grapefruit. And again, that keen minerality. Not tons of dimension to it, but what's there is beautiful. Easily 88 plus points, and as this is well under $20 Canadian for pure BC fruit, I think this is extraordinary value. Now, no disrespect to the wine, but we need to move on to the Quill Rosé, which, once again, I have no idea what the varietals are. But the shape of the glass, or the bottle, very interesting. Yeah, no, doesn't say at all what it might be. I'm just going to rinse the glass a little bit with the rosé. You know, if you're tasting wines at home and you're switching from one wine to another, perfectly acceptable. Just pour in a little splash of the new wine and use that to actually rinse the glass. Much better than using water. Water isn't going to rinse out the flavors, the aromas of the previous wine. Only a new wine will do that. I love the color, eh? Don't you love that? That beautiful, like, russety amber. Beautiful nose. Very Pinot Noir-like. A lot of cherry blossom, rhubarb, a little bit of blackberry leaf, black currant. Still some of that Carneros-like saline minerality. Right, brisk. Better integration. But still, quite a lively wine. Full acid. Really playing heavily on the rhubarb, red currant. Yeah, really playing heavily on those flavors. I have to say, much the same notes as the first wine. Not tons of dimension, but what is there beautifully, and it's very transparent. There's no gimmickry trying to get in the way. There's no excessive residual sugar. It's bright, it's fresh, it's clean, it's delightful. 88 plus points again. And for the price, once again, all three of the wines under $20. And I think that's a delightful wine. I would love to pair that actually, yes, of course, West Coast, any rosé like that, I'm going to want to pair it with salmon. But, you know, braised lamb. Oh, lamb and rosé. A thing of beauty. Now, I'm saving the best for last. Because the Quill Red, same label, I thought was really extraordinary for the price. And I would say preemptively, because I've actually, that's the one wine I've tasted before, I would say 89 plus points. Just truly delightful, consummate work. The nose is so interesting because there's hints of cocoa, of leather, of a real savoriness, savory herbaceousness, and wild herbs growing at the edge of the garden. Forest floor. It's really wild and musky. It's not Foch, I don't believe, but I actually have no idea what the varietals are in this. Yeah, it's kind of cool. But there is that really wild, gaminess to it that's really quite intriguing. And then on the palate, instead of a full acid structure, now it's a medium acid structure. It's very enjoyable on its own. All I want is a little bit of sliced up Landiago sausage or something like that. You know, just a little bit of sopressetta, if I was Italian. Just a little bit of sausage, just to sort of chew on and taste my wine and watch the world revolve around me. Tannin structure, medium plus, fairly fine grained, and yet very. It feels young. It feels like, even though this is 2013, it feels like the tannin structure hasn't quite had its chance to integrate fully. Concentration of flavors, medium plus, and much the same as the other two wines. Not tons of dimension, but what is there? Absolutely clear. Nothing in the way. There is that. All of those savory characteristics certainly come through on the palate. It is a little gamey. There is a little bit of leather tones to it. There's a little bit of wild herbaceousness to it, and some hints of darker berry tones. So blackberry and black raspberry, black currant, that sort of thing. Yeah, delightful wine, and at $17. So I think that Paul's goal of trying to convey the place has really happened with the wines. This is a new winery in a new region, and they're doing some really beautiful things. So if you find yourself on Vancouver Island, I hope you make the time to head to the Cowichan Valley and look for Blue Grouse Winery. Their wines are available in selected restaurants and retailers, so you can look at them, look for them in your local market, and you can certainly hit up their website, which is bluegrouse.ca. And I hope you enjoy the wines as much as I.